Hello everybody and welcome back to the Dustforce community map pack review. Last time we finished the alpha section and we will continue with the beta section today. And first, Heist. This is also visually very interesting map. It's it's a heist. You sneak through the buildings and try to probably rob something, but I think I've only played this like once or twice. This is a very easy map and I didn't really spend too much time on this one because of that. Some awkward combat parts. I think you can also almost call this a combat level. I would say like there is really not much gameplay aside from hitting a bunch of enemies. I actually don't know what... Oh, there was a gargoyle in there, okay. And a couple of enemies at the end. Very simple level, not really outstanding or anything, and not really difficult too. Next up, High Runes Refurbish. I love this map. Also, like, the art style is absolutely gorgeous. Combined with the music, of course. Also, very interesting gameplay. Very unique as well. You have to drop through a little hole and... man, a lot of ceiling runs and... falling through dust. It also flows really well. I think the individual level parts are connected together very well, and it's very well crafted. It's great. Love it. Definitely also one of my favorites. Also the ending was really cool. By dashing through those dashing through those walls and then use the super to clean up the enemies in the end. Highway. I think this is one of the few ones where I actually try to improve my time a little bit. Not too much time. And probably if I would, I wouldn't be much faster anyway, because I'm just not really good enough in going fast compared to other people. Also, plays really well this map. It's also I think you can go actually quite faster than I was able to do here. It has some quite interesting unique gameplay elements too, but it's just mostly, I think, put together by things that are proven to work. At least that's the impression I had. I don't really know who actually made those maps, so maybe... I think this is the only combat level here now, Horde. And I really don't like combat levels in general. I didn't like them in the stock game, and I think this is, while quite crafted very well, especially for a combat level, I think in general I just didn't enjoy it as much as I maybe could if I would enjoy combat levels. So, but I think if someone enjoys combat level, I think this could be a stellar level for them. It's a very Wild Den like-ish, I would say. Good. Next up we have Imagination. This is another really great one that actually tries to maybe tell a little story. It just looks absolutely fantastic. It has great atmosphere. It's very dreamlike. It's just mind-blowing what people can do in the level editor for Dustforce. It's absolutely stellar. Gameplay is great as well. Like, even though I just everything feels great while playing this map. It's absolutely fantastic. Next one, also a map that I really love. Completely different from the last map, and it's definitely a lot more challenging. The last one was fairly easy. This one is I wouldn't say this is a really difficult level. I think this looks a lot harder than it is, but it's also not an easy level. I think it really depends on how comfortable you are with the skills required in this level. But overall, I really enjoy this. It's definitely has more to it than it first looks. This next lab pad is another bit of awkward level because you can just choose what you do first. It leaves room for experimentations on which route you want to take, and while I can appreciate it for that, I just enjoy linear levels a lot more, because I just don't really like too much to go against the flow, or like it's just hard to figure out without really looking stuff up how it's meant to be played, how it's how the map maker intended this. So, but yeah, those levels always fuck a little bit with my mind, so I'm not a huge fan of this one, to be fair. Next one, Last Ditch Effort. This is another absolutely fantastic level. Really great visuals. I think they went for a sort of like construction-like look, and just a very vertical level. Has really interesting gameplay. There is one section right above which is a little bit awkward. At least I found no other way how to clean the dust on the right side rather than go back down and reset my jump. So I think there is probably some potential for improvement there. Otherwise, like, yeah, I love the visuals on this level. I think the gameplay is really great too. It's definitely one of the harder maps, but it's just so well done that I just really enjoy this level. Like I usually get kind of frustrated sometimes when I fail too often, but there are a lot of because a lot of maps here are crafted so well. It just didn't happen here for some reason. I just really enjoyed grinding those out. Next up we have Leftovers, and this is the only level that I had no patience grinding out with Dustman. I have done all other maps with Dustman. Here I had to go to Kit. The reason is, like, this first part is really difficult with Dustman. At least I haven't found a way to make it easier. And I've actually watched some replays here, and what people are doing, I think, is they do a down dash and then jump, and I couldn't really replicate this reliably. It just is a tech that I so far can't do, and I have no idea how to learn this properly. So I really struggled with this in the beginning, and just didn't have the patience to actually learn this tech, and so I just switched to the Dust Girl. And while it's still quite a difficult level, it's much easier, I think, with Dust Kid than with Dust Man. So yeah, I think it's the map itself is actually quite good if you know how, if you're good enough, I would say, to do this stuff. Next up, Library 1. Like, despite sounding library, it doesn't remind me at the stock library level, like, at all. It's actually plays quite uniquely, and it's also quite a lot harder than what library is. Like, I see a lot of people when starting out with Dustforce struggling with library, but I think once you got the grasp of it, it's much, like, once you grasp the game, I think it's much easier doable. This is a little bit of a interesting section because you can't just heavy the flag with one heavy, so you can't as easily recharge your jump, and that caught me a little bit off guard at the start, because I actually don't really know I don't really know how many hits I need for each and every single type of enemy. Next up, Lock Mansion. This is another level that where you can, I think, more or less choose where you want to go first, but I'm not 100% sure. I didn't really grasp this level as well. It's quite unique in that you have to kill the keys, and if you do so, they will unlock some doors further down below, or like the one on to the right. And I think this is a very interesting gameplay concept, and I actually quite enjoy this, despite being a level that is not linear. But it flows really well, and at least the route that I played, or that I took. Yeah, I fucked up. Oh my god, that was embarrassing. I think at least the route that I took played really well. I don't know whether this is the case for the other routes as well. It just basically was me always doing this route until I got the SS. So yeah, I actually quite enjoy this one a lot more than other levels that are non-linear. So thumbs up from me. Next one, we have Love Climb, and the first thing that sticks out are the visuals, and I was actually glad when I was over with this level, because it just hurt my eyes, and yeah, I wish that it wouldn't have such neon-like colors in it, because it's really hard to play for longer than 30 minutes. At least that was the case for me. The gameplay is actually great, so I think the level itself is really well done, but it's just the colors that I just don't really like. But other than that, it's a great level. Also, like the whole level is shaped like a heart, which is quite cool, actually, I think. Next up, Milestone. I think the next set of maps look visually like they come from the same map maker, but I'm not 100% sure. It just feels that way. This is quite a difficult map. Like, the next couple of maps are all relatively similar difficulty-wise. They play really well. I actually enjoy all of them. We'll go through them one by one, of course. And this one has a little bit of an artificial difficulty, I feel, because first it's zoomed in very much, and now it zooms out a lot, and it's not something that it fucks me with my brain a little bit, so I'm not too big of a fan of that. I also had the same issue with the stock map Abyss. Just I can't, in those cases, can't really accurately use my super. It's just, I don't know, it's my sense of scale is messed up by changing the camera, so I have actually struggled quite a lot with the end part there from the previous level. This is another, like, I love the art style. It's the art style. I don't mention it much, but the art style is also like absolutely fantastic for most levels, even for the ones that are relatively basic. It's just that they have just given it a nice color palette most of the time, and it just feels great. Also, gameplay here is pretty amazing. Some air control parts. It's quite a difficult map. Like the one before plus the next couple of levels are relatively similar difficulty wise, but they play really well that he actually completely forgot to getting annoyed by dying over and over and over again, which is, yeah, it's just great. And I'm someone who actually rages quite frequently when I fuck up, not because I'm annoyed or like mad at the map or anything like that. It's just I get frustrated about my own inability to actually do something, sometimes even simple right, and that just that just annoys me sometimes. But yeah, this is a relatively similar art style here, like in the last level. I'm not sure what happened there exactly. The trees come out, waterfall here. It's just also very well done visually, and it looks like the style is very similar from those maps. I'm judging only from that, I'm actually quite confident that the levels are made by the same guy, and they are really well done. I enjoy this set of levels a lot. Also, like the colors changing in the end to what they were before. It's just the attention to detail is phenomenal. Next up we have Mangrove. So I actually don't really remember this. I remember it visually because it's also great and unique, but I don't really remember it from the gameplay. But it looks also very fluid, and just the distances are very well measured. Like, you can clearly see that the guy who made this level has actually a ton of experience in making levels. At least I would be extremely surprised if you can make a quality map like this just as your first map. That would be that would be pretty impressive. I mean, it's impressive nonetheless. It's like these maps are all so fucking good. It's unbelievable. Like I actually really enjoy the base game of Dustforce, but I think the level design in this community map pack is on a completely new levels for a lot of levels. Like, it blows my mind that those levels are probably not done by a professional level designer. So yeah, it's absolutely great. This is Marigold. Uh, this works with quite basic shapes. It's rather minimalistic art-wise, but and this beginning section is also actually quite easy. This was a little bit of a strange part. As you can see, I've left some dust there on purpose, because I actually had, like, you have to get back somehow, and I couldn't figure out a way to actually make it fluid, and this end part is actually really difficult, as you can probably tell. Took me quite a while to get this down, but it plays great, the map overall. Like, there are some things that I really didn't quite understood in this level, but it plays great nonetheless. I think it's well done. This is another one of those mashed potatoes. Is another one of those levels that I think is from the same map maker as these two. Maybe even this one too. Not sure. It just has this. It has the same art style, I feel, but it's like it manages to still have this unique gameplay, and now this rising background is just looks absolutely great, and the map play really great as well. This is also a very difficult level. It took me quite a while to actually assess this one. Some very tricky parts where it's quite easy to fuck up. And it's great, like, first you go above, you're on a surface, and now you're going backwards in the underground part, and the color difference from this brown to blue, it just looks really well. Hopefully I can get my excitement for these levels across accordingly, because I really enjoy them. I'm sometimes not the best of finding the correct words, as you can probably also tell. English is not my native language, so yeah. Next up, mathematically. No, mathematical. It's called. That's not mathematical. It's called mathematical. Damn it. Okay. This is another one that I feel could be from the same map maker, because it's just the way the background and the foregrounds are layered is just very similar, and also like the I don't know, the gameplay feels similar in some cases too. Like, I think all the maps have enough unique features to really set them apart from each other, but it also I'm not sure how to explain this, but I feel like there are a lot of similarities as well, but maybe it's just coincidence, or not even true at all. That's just what I felt. So yeah, this one is also gameplay wise absolutely great, phenomenal, and like all these maps are difficulty wise, they're hard, but they are hard in a way where I feel like even players that are not that experienced can actually manage to assess these. This is next one. This is visually one of my absolute favorites. So we start out green, and this one is actually a very easy map. So you have to play this map. It's awesome, not only visually, also gameplay wise. So some nice boosts here. The colors are changing. There are different themes. Like here we have like this autumn theme with the leaves on the on the bottom and on the walls. It's just, I love it. Absolutely gorgeous, mind-blowing. Nothing more to say. Next up we have Melange. This is a relatively easy map. Oops, I think this is not me. You can all. I've selected the wrong replay. This was the top replay. I can immediately tell it was in the first second that this guy is much better than me. So yeah. This is also visually really great. The orange and the white fading into each other and changing from foreground to background. Now the white is the foreground and the orange is the background. It's just a very cool idea, and it actually works quite well. I was afraid first that it's gonna be hard to see the dust, but it plays great. Like, I don't know how they do it to really make the levels that great, and like still have these very experimental. Oh, I fucked up the end there. Have this very experimental way of layering the visuals on top of each other. Very impressive. Next up, Metal Space. This is another one of the hard ones, of the really hard ones. But like again, even these hard maps are really made enjoyable, at least for me. I even though sometimes it gets frustrating when you have fail over again, it just, the levels are so well designed that I really didn't mind repeating those levels over and over again. And this one is no exception. Like, also like the selection of maps is great. Like, I think the variety of what they put in this map pack is absolutely great. I think there's stuff for every taste in there. So yeah. Next up, Meta Magical. This was another hard one, I think. Not 100% sure which one this is. The beginning is not too bad. I think it's relatively straightforward. Some slow boosts that you have to do. At first I thought that this you have to do the juggling, but I think it's not. It's actually not required. This one is quite interesting. I think you go up here automatically. I first wasn't sure whether I actually collect all the dust, but it works. So I think it would be intended to actually have some apple juggling in here, but I just found the other way to be much more reliable to do. So it was easier for me, that's why I haven't done it. But I can definitely see that this map is one of the harder ones. And I think I struggled quite a lot with this map, but I can't remember actually. And a nice super there for the end. Also nice contrast, like with the between the end and the middle part. Next up, Metro Tunnel. I think this replay is you will see it. This map is has, I'm not sure if it is a glitch or if it is intended. You can just basically, it fades out and then you can kill the enemy at the end by just blindly hitting it. But I'll actually just quickly play this one. This is not really a gameplay map, so just to show you what actually happens when you play this normally. I think you basically get hit by the train, and then and then it's black. No. Okay, it just takes sometimes a while to load. I think this should simulate that you are a ghost now, and you are looking for redemption. At least that's what I interpreted. And I think this is the intended way, but I have really no idea. So what you're doing is, I think you're playing this ghost that goes back and, oops. Okay, I didn't know this would happen. And there is basically the end. So I think you look redemption and to like a haunted spirit that is just needs justice in order to find peace. You need to oops. You need to find justice by killing this enemy. At least that's this is my own interpretation. It could be completely wrong, but this map doesn't really have too much gameplay, as you can see. It's just more, I feel like a story that the map maker wanted to portray. Next one, Midnight Lake. I have no idea what this one is actually. I think this is also one of the easier ones. Take some... there was... I think you have to do a spike jump there, I'm not 100% sure. Actually, it doesn't look like one of the easier ones, but I actually really don't remember this one. It's relatively short, so I'm actually not sure what I gave this, but you should see it as an overlay if I don't fuck it up. But yeah, play great. Absolutely great. Now, next we have Milkshake. And this is by far the hardest map for me in this map pack. Like, this is insane how hard this is, and you will see it. Like, it took me forever to assess this. Like, if this was a stock level, this would be by far the hardest level, I think, aside from Yoda. And I haven't completed Yoda, or I haven't assessed Yoda. I have completed it, but it just was Yoda's too long for me. I can't keep my concentration up for so long. But this one is really hard. This is yeah. If you don't want to do hard maps, stay away from this one. It's like this section is actually isn't too difficult. There are some sections that are well, which I could do quite reliably, but you have like this fall timings that you have to do. You have to do this perfectly, and usually you get a super there. I think, at least that's what I saw in other replays. For some reason I couldn't figure out why I didn't get the super there. So this one is also, this section is really hard. It took me eternities to actually get this down. Not sure if it looks actually much easier than it is, but this is really hard. And the air control section played quite well. Here you should have again a super, which I didn't have because I didn't have it the first time. I don't know, I think like 60% of the time I wouldn't have a super, and the other ones I would have the super. So I'm not really 100% sure what actually happens there. If someone knows what happens here, please leave a comment. I would be really interested to know what was actually going on there. Next up, Moon Changer, another visually completely unique map. Looks fantastic. Gameplay is quite simple. This one was a little bit awkward because this slow boost just took me a while to really figure out how to get enough height to yeah, to follow up in the next section. But great map overall. Like I wouldn't say it's an outstanding map, but it's still like even I think the maps that are average are really good. So not being outstanding doesn't mean it's in any way, shape or form a bad map or even a mediocre map. It's still an absolutely great map. Next on, Murasaki. This is another map that took me eternities to assess. Also, like, the visual style is absolutely fantastic, especially for a virtual level. And this is also one of the hardest maps in the map pack. It's also really long. So we have a nice air control section here. Flows quite good, actually. Here you need to have the right momentum to actually use the super and get up. Now, as you can see here, I have to clean up some of the dust first because I just couldn't manage to reliably get to the ceiling fast enough. I don't know why this is the case, but it just was the way it is, and I just had to incorporate this in the runs that I do, because I couldn't really manage to do it the normal way. And I've also cheesed this a little bit. Here at the end I was grinding for super. I think the end it's not super hard once you actually figure out the correct route, but I just was a little bit exhausted at that point and I just wanted to get it over with. So but it's probably a map I will replay correctly at some point. Next up, Mutilation. This one is a little bit awkward because the sections where you can actually stand on are have a very weird slope to it, and it happened that it was really hard to actually get a proper jump out from those platforms, so it may look a little bit awkward in some cases. Next one, Muy Simpatica. This is another one of those really interesting virtual maps that I absolutely love. Gameplay is great as well. It's fairly challenging, but not super hard, I would say. Actually, right later at the end, there are some fall timings that I just that took me some tries, like this, the sections, so Terra sections. Same that you basically have to do at the end of Terra. But it's great. Love this map. Fantastic. Next up we have Nasty Blue. I think this is a really short map. But also one that flows really great. Rather minimalistic map, but it's gorgeous nonetheless, and it plays really well as well. So not too bothered by this actually. So it's awesome map. The gameplay was really flowing great, and I also enjoyed the visuals a lot in this one. Next, no jumping, and this is one of the gimmicky maps. You actually can't jump here, which was completely weird for me. Like I had a hard time actually adjusting to this situation, but it actually flows and plays surprisingly well for that. So here you have little rising sections. Not sure whether this is the most efficient way to do it. Probably not. So yeah, it was weird too that you really can't jump, but the map plays great regardless, which was really surprising for me. So a little bit of a mess up there, and in the end, yeah, but I think it's great for a gimmick map, but I just don't enjoy gimmick maps too much. And next we have Observation Tower. This is a very calm map. Like, there's not much going on in terms of like fighting here. It's just a very there are some fighting sections here. Just overall, like, again, great art style. Just climbing this great tower. Background visuals are gorgeous, and but it's a fairly easy map, and yeah, enjoyed this one a lot too. I think this could be a stock level as well. I think this has a lot of the traits that would fit the stock level. Next we have Ozu. This is not a weird one, because it's a one screen level, but the prisms come out of the wall, and I cheese this a little bit by just grinding the super here. It's not too hard either one. In either way, you can also do this the proper way. It's just I wanted to try this, and it happens to be a lot faster than my original run that I did, or from the original SS try. I've done this a couple of times just because the concept seems quite interesting, and it has a lot of possibilities, I think, for what you can do in terms of the direction you want to take this in. Next up we have Pico Difficult. As the name suggests, this is a difficult level, and it plays like similar to stock difficulty levels. I really like that they incorporate the walls in here, that you can basically climb on the walls, but gameplay is great. I think just this level provides a lot of new gameplay for and despite being like relatively similar to the stock difficulty levels, but plays great. I think it actually plays a lot better than some of the stock difficulty levels, or even most of the stock difficulty levels. Yeah, it's the end is interesting. It's almost like it's a reverse of Terra a little bit, so that you start very narrow and then it widens up at the end, which is it's great. I think neat little idea. Needless to say, it took me quite a while to actually assess this one, because it's hard. And last but not least in this section is Purple. Purple. I love this one. This is another really great one. The prism placement is done very well. It looks much harder probably than it actually is. It plays really smoothly. It's actually quite easy level. Once you figure out what you can and should do. And it's a very short level, but I love this level. It's absolutely phenomenal. I have really enjoyed this. Anyway, that was it for the second video. We'll do a third one with the rest of the levels. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please leave a like or comment. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye bye.